Hello and welcome to the Burn KC ScorchCast. I am your host, Alex Blackburn, here to bring you all the good news regarding sports, everything surrounding sports, even stuff that sometimes doesn't pertain to sports but I just want to talk about. It's my podcast, it's my show. I can talk about whatever I want. But thanks for listening and thank you for indulging me in this, as always, of course. Got a few things to talk about today. Got some Royals news and some college football news. A lot of college football news, as well as a lot of Chiefs training camp news. And then that's pretty much it, honestly. And I got some Royals news too. And lo and behold, it's good news, at least in part. So strap in, sit tight. This is actually going to be a pretty short episode because there's really not a whole lot to talk about in regards to college basketball. There's really not a whole lot to talk about in regards to the soccer teams. Sporting KC lost in penalties in their League Cup game. I think the Current ended up winning, but I'm not too sure. But there's really not a whole lot to talk about. In regard to soccer, which is a first for this ScorchCast during the summer, at least, because obviously soccer is one of the most is a summer sport, so it's probably best to talk about it. But really, not a whole lot going on. I mean, the U.S. beat. I guess this is my soccer segment as well as the intro. But I guess the U.S. did beat Vietnam 3-0 and tied the Netherlands, the U.S. women's team for that matter, 1-1. And a lot of people are questioning that they're not gonna go all the way because of the tie with the Netherlands, even though they faced the Netherlands in the final of the last World Cup and beat them 2-0. So, I mean, it's a group stage game, guys. Come on. But anyway, that's it for soccer news. Thank you for listening in on that and listening in on this intro. Let's get started with some college football, shall we? Alrighty, starting off with some college football news. Some good news, everybody. I am officially a contributor for Kansas football for the the College Football Dogs website. If you don't know who they are already, they are a college football news media outlet as well as blog that specializes in all things college football. Got representatives from pretty much every big Division One program, and even some FCS teams as well. So it's a good little spot. Got a lot of great information over there. I'm very happy to be a part of their thing. I think it's really cool. I think it's a great way to expand my ratings as well as expand their brand as well. So go check them out. I left a link um, on my social media pages regarding the first ever article I put out for them. So go check it out. It's about this next topic that I'm about to talk to you about, at least in summary. The bomb threat made to the Anderson family football complex this past week, made by KU offensive lineman, or I should say former offensive lineman, Joe Kraus. Joe Kraus made a bomb threat to Lawrence police, calling it into them. And according to sources, it sounds like it's some sort of joke gone wrong situation. Just him joking about what he did in the bathroom. Folks, what you do in the bathroom is your business. Please don't share it with everybody else. We already have to listen to farts and burps and stuff like that. Why do we gotta, why do we gotta know what atrocities you committed in the bathroom itself? I mean, there's no reason for it. Um, Obviously, this is all alleged, by the way. It's, I mean, he's been charged, but, gotta talk in the legal sense of things, everything's alleged at this point. He's being held, I believe, on bond for, I think it's around $3,000 or 10,000, between $3,000 and $10,000. I need to figure that out real quick. We don't- okay. But yeah, he's being held on bond right now, or out on bond, excuse me. And his trial date is set for August 2nd at 9 a.m. per sources. So yeah, let this be a lesson. Don't call in a bomb threat when you make boom boom in the bathroom. It's something a middle schooler would do. Um, but yeah, don't do that. On a lighter note, the Colorado Buffalo have officially agreed to join the Big 12 in 2024. The Colorado Buffalo were already a part of the Big 12 in the past. I'm talking like 10 years ago. I think they left in 2012. Um, so yeah, big news on that front. Colorado is coming back to the Big 12. That means we're going to have Deion Sanders, well, not his son, because his son's graduating after this year. So we won't have his son, but we will, in all likelihood, have Deion Sanders. We will have a revamped Colorado football program, potentially, at least, depending on how they do this year, of course. And in my opinion, I see nothing wrong with it. I I think that the Pac-12 is kind of falling apart in regards to how they handle media dealings, how they handle the schools and the delegation of those schools. Um, and just overall, it's kind of a struggle for them to keep their head above water right now because more schools are threatening to leave, and a lot of them are threatening to leave for the Big 12. I think as of right now, it's Oregon, Washington, Utah, um, Arizona, both the Arizona schools, Arizona and Arizona State. Obviously, UCLA is leaving for the Big Ten. USC is leaving for the Big Ten. Um, it just that conference is kind of going down the drain. And we'll just have to see how it ends up, like who they're gonna bring on, what they're gonna do to stop this mass exodus. Because as far as I know right now, Colorado is not going to be the only school to join the Big 12 if, worst case scenario happens for the Pac 12. Um, and right now, it's looking like Oregon and Washington are considering the Big 12. And I personally think that's optimal. After you see, Oklahoma and Texas leave, those are two, big name football programs, and having Oregon and Washington join as well as Colorado, potentially revamped Colorado, could just bring that competition level right back up to where it was. And honestly, it would probably be more competitive considering, the dominance of Oklahoma football over the Big 12 over the past few years. Obviously, as of recent, it's kind of fallen off a bit, just with the departure of Lincoln Riley and all that. But big things are happening, folks. Conference realignment is very real. And we'll just have to see how this affects NIL, how this affects competition, how this affects just overall moods and in and around the Big 12. So that's it for college football news. Let's move into some Chiefs training camp news. Okay, so for once, I'm actually not going to talk about Chris Jones in this segment. Um, I think if you have been following, it, I mean, it's still a coin flip. Depending, I think a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's not going to happen," because it didn't happen before training camp. But it's still a coin flip. I mean, he still has a chance to sign. He's in the last year of his contract, so he still has the chance to play. For all we know, he could just be skipping out on training camp. For all we know. So that's a strong possibility too. But overall, Chris Jones still not signed. That's where I'm going to leave it at. And yeah, it's still up in the air. So I know nothing else. I know about as much as you probably do. And yeah, he's still putting out cryptic tweets or posts or whatever you want to call them now that it's called um, X. Yeah, I'm not going to get into that either. But anyway, the wide receiver situation for the Chiefs. I've heard nothing but good things about pretty much everybody in that room. Um, Rashi Rice has been making plays. Justin Ross has looked phenomenal. Justin Watson's had spurts of really good plays. MVS looks like the number one target for Patrick Mahomes right now. Obviously, with Kadarius Toney being injured, that's not entirely a surprise. You got to think that he's probably wide receiver number two, unless something drastic happens with Sky Moore, Rashi Rice, or any of the other guys. So yeah, that's good on him for making those big plays. Um, the other main story of Chiefs training camp are the fights, though, and just the overall intensity of training camp. Let me be the first to tell you that this is par for the course for most training camps. I think in the age of social media, we do have all access pretty much to these training camp sessions, and a lot of people are seeing these fights happen for the first time ever and are freaking out about them. Obviously, when they involve guys like Travis Kelsey, that can look kind of bad with first, surface level optics. And Travis Kelsey did put out a tweet saying, "I got to be a better leader." I do tend to agree with that. I think sucker punching, I mean, no matter what happened after the play, I think sucker punching a guy in the back of the head is not the best look. I mean, it's a pretty dumb looking move, to be real with you. And overall, I just don't agree with it. Um, but I understand why it happened, and I don't, you know, criminalize or crucify Travis Kelsey for doing it. I think he just went about it the wrong way. And he owned up to it. He held himself accountable. Um, but I mean, that hasn't been the only fight. Amir Smith Marset and Josh Watson, or not Josh Watson, Jalen Watson. My apologies. Um, I have a friend named Josh Watson myself, so that's where the thing got mixed up. Anyway, Amir Smith Marset and Jalen Watson both got into it yesterday, I believe, or it may have been today. I can't remember. Um, so I mean, fights are normal. I don't think we need to freak out too much about it. It's not like the entire team has it's not like the offense has fought the defense in just an all-out brawl, and there's super high tensions and everything like that. It's just an intense practice. Um, and there's really nothing you can do about it. It's hot. It's a high contact sport. That leaves a lot for it leaves a lot of room for extracurricular activity, to be honest with you. I mean, in my experience playing contact sports, uh, tensions do get high, even amongst your own teammates. I mean, it's high intensity. So I think people just need to relax and take this whole fighting thing with a grain of salt. What shouldn't necessarily be taken with a grain of salt, though, are the injuries that are happening. Kadarius Toney is out because he had to get his knee cleaned up. It looks like there was some cartilage in his knee that was giving him fits. So he could be out. I've seen he could be back in by the season opener, and I've seen reports that pushes him back as far as October. So I guess we'll just have to see. From what Tony's reporting, he sounds like he's doing fine. But that will be left up to powers that are probably higher than him. So, but the big one, in my opinion at least, is the injury to Nazee Johnson. Um, he suffered a torn ACL on Sunday, or excuse me, on Monday, or jeez, Saturday. He suffered a torn ACL on Saturday, and just a rough go. I mean, he was moving up the corner depth chart. He looked really, really promising. He was a great special teamer last year as a rookie. And to just see him go down like this is very disheartening. My thoughts are with him. I hope he recovers very, very quickly and can hold a roster spot for this Chiefs team. It's said that he'll be on injured reserve, so in all likelihood he will be. But overall, just a really crap situation there. And again, my thoughts are with him. So good luck to you, Mr. Johnson. Um, Again, think Chiefs Kingdom's behind you. Also, in some personal news, I attended Red Rally in St. Joseph for the first time ever. It's a great time. Tech Nine was there. Chiefs cheerleaders were there. Casey Wolf was there. And just a handful of really cool stuff going on around the St. Joseph area. So if you ever get a chance to go to it, if you're in town for training camp or whatever, it's a great time. Go check it out. Obviously, it's an annual event, but yeah, when it comes back into town, check it out. Maybe hit your boy up and we could go out together or something. I don't know. Who knows? All I know is that it's a great time. And special thanks to my girlfriend, Sarah Ben Ezra, for taking me. So. Okay, for the Royals, do you want the bad news or do you want the good news first? Is the question that I am asking for you. It doesn't matter because this is recorded. But if you want to just skip to just the good news, um, fast forward, say about 5 minutes, maybe. I might be on a rant for a little bit regarding this first situation. And that's the situation regarding the open letter to the Kansas City Royals fan base by Mr. John Sherman himself, owner and CEO of the Royals. Where to begin? um, this man's promised us transparency. He promised us a downtown ballpark. He's promised us just countless things. Um, to make sure this fan base remains loyal, I guess. I don't know. Um, so far, it's all come up empty. And this letter is just the latest in his series of blunders in owning a Major League Baseball franchise. In this letter, he goes in about plans, kind of, to um move the Royals or build a new stadium for the Royals in either Jackson County or Clay County. One of those is not like the other, mind you. Clay County is not downtown Kansas City. The closest thing in Clay County to downtown Kansas City is North Kansas City. And I, sure, why, I, the reason I'm so speechless about this part of the letter that he put out is the fact that he announced plans for another announcement in September. That's basically all this letter boils down to is he's goalpost shifting. That's all it is. It's goalpost shifting. And I understand these things do take time. They do. It's very complicated to build a new stadium and to have, plans worked out. There's a lot of bureaucratic processes that go into this stuff. But we've been waiting for how long to see where this new stadium is? And the fact that it's still, you promised back when you gave that press conference that the stadium would be downtown, and now here you are going back on your word saying, well, it might be downtown, or it might be in Clay County, which could mean North Kansas City. It could mean Liberty. Liberty's 40 minutes away from downtown Kansas City, like 40 minutes away. You think the stadium being in Raytown is a problem? Just wait until you move it there, potentially. I thought the whole reason that this new stadium was being proposed in the first place was to garner the attention of a potential ballpark district being built downtown, um, to potentially build in historic 18th and Vine. And another thing, he only pledged $1 billion towards this project. This project is estimated to be 2.4 billion. You know where that other 1.4 billion is coming from? The taxpayers. You think the taxpayers are going to pay for this sucky baseball team to have a brand new stadium in a place that people didn't even want it in? I mean, my God, the nuance is just so seriously lacking. And I can't get over it. I really can't. I know I've ranted about this topic for a long time. It's because I love my Royals. I love Kansas City. And the fact that John Sherman thinks he can hold this city hostage while he fumbles his way through this stadium project when his team has 30 wins, or well, now I think maybe at 33 now, maybe 32, 32, 33. You know, only 30 wins on the season, and it's August, pretty much. It's, yeah, obviously it's still July, but August is in 2 days. I mean, come on, man. Okay, I did promise that people that wanted the good news should just fast forward 5 minutes. It's been 5 minutes. I will finally talk about the good news. The Royals won 3 games in a row for the first time this season. They swept the Twins, the second best team in the. Or actually, I think they're the first. I think they're first place in the AL Central. Way to go, guys! Way to go! That's you got to celebrate the small victories with this team. I mean, three wins in a row is impressive. I hope they can continue it, finish off the season strong, and just build off this success. Um, we'll see. There's not a whole lot of room for optimism on this team, which is why we celebrate the first time this season that the Royals have won 3 straight. That's what's considered a milestone. My apologies, my cat's feeder just went off. It's very loud. If you didn't hear it, thank God. But if you did, my apologies. But that's it for the Royals. Let's talk about some minor news and then we'll wrap up here. All right, getting on with some Blues news now, and then we'll be wrapping up. Like I said, shorter show. Thanks for sticking with me. Again, not a whole lot of soccer news going on, really not much at all, or some college basketball news for that matter. So we'll just be jumping ahead to the Blues and then wrapping up here. The Blues are hosting their golf tournament this coming Saturday, and it's going to be a great time. Um, if you are interested, there are still spots available. Bring groups of 4 to your liking. Just make sure they're groups of 4. If you can come individually, we'll get you set up with a group. But come out, bring your friends. It's gonna be a great time. Just be aware. It's a good time. So we have fun over at the Kansas City Blues. But this kicks off 15's season as well. 15's is starting back up. Our first practice is going to be August 1st, this coming Tuesday. I hope you've been keeping fit. If you're coming out for that, it should be a rigorous one. So be prepared. Should be a great season, though. Got a lot of guys returning to the club. Um, really great players, really good ringers that will help this club go far in the upcoming 15 season. Should be really, really competitive. You've got teams like St. Louis, Minnesota, um, slash Metropolis is what they're called, and others that will be vying for that Midwest crown as well as the Blues. And of course, the D3 team moving up to Division Two will be playing Wichita, KCRFC, and Omaha, a bunch of other teams. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, that's Blues news for you. So I guess we can just wrap up. This is probably the shortest show I've ever done. So my apologies if you were expecting something a little longer, a little bit more drawn out, and a little bit more in depth. My apologies. I know it was kind of concise, but I have a meeting at 7 for college football dogs for one, and two, there's really just not a whole lot of news going on in regards to sports. It's kind of the calm before the storm that is college football and NFL season. Obviously, got a lot going on there. I'm in the process of planning the second annual fantasy league. If you are interested in that, keep your ear to the wall and keep your ears and eyes towards the Burn KC and the social media outlets. I'm gonna try and get as many uh, guys on as possible, or excuse me, fantasy football players on as possible. Last year we had 10 players. It was a really, really nice league. Again, uh, Clayton and Tyler Merrigan ran away with it. And Clayton ended up winning it all. So congrats to him. And just, it's a great time. We have a lot of fun. I report on it. So you'll get featured in the ScorchCast. And just overall, it's awesome. It's a great time. Um, but other than that, that's all I got for you today. This has been the Burn KC signing off. Have a great night. Have a great week. And I will see you next Sunday. Thanks for joining me. Have a great night.